So then we kind of went down a rabbit hole, right? And we asked ChatGPT, what was the prompt you wrote into
When in
ChatGPT?
doubt, use AI.
When in doubt, use AI. What was the prompt you wrote in? Like, who's the most
Yeah, it said like
dangerous
give me a
mascot?
list of the most dangerous mascots, take into account their access to weapons.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Graveyard Shift, your midnight snack of sports talk. We are your hosts, Josh and Missy Graves, and to be honest, we're just here to yap.
True.
Just to yap.
Yapping about.
How you feel about that, Josh? You
Feel
ready to yap?
great. Got
Yeah,
more energy than I did last week. We've been building an above
that's
ground
good.
planter. Which as every home project goes, there's always so many obstacles that you run into every single
I feel like we
time.
haven't had that many on this one. There
I would
haven't been like, do you remember when it was the you were hooking up the killing it. Um
Yep.
Grill. You were hooking up the grill and you had to go back to Lowe's like 3 times. That was way
Oh,
worse.
it was way more than 3 times. I think I went 8 different times, and I finally just so I couldn't find the right fitting, right, that needed to attach to the pipe that came out of the house that provides natural gas to the grill, right? And you want to make sure that you get that right because I didn't want a gas leak next to my fire.
I guess you don't want
Um,
that.
so I could not find the right fitting. So I finally, on the last trip, just bought every sized fitting
When in doubt,
within.
just buy them all.
Yeah, I bought like 12 different fittings the last time I went and was like, one of these have to fit. Sure enough, one of them did. Then
One
I
of
just
them
went
did.
back and returned them. But I mean, each fitting pretty cheap. I think I spent over $20 that trip on fittings just because I was so tired of going back and forth and back and forth.
$20 well spent,
Yep,
Joshua. So
worth it.
anyway, that was worse than this. Okay, so I feel like
That's
it's
true. This is just like whenever they built our house and they leveled the ground, they just kicked up so much crap and then also like just took all of the trash and instead of towing it away because we're in a new construction, they just buried it in the backyard.
buried in the
So you're
backyard.
like, man, why is this like 4 foot by 6 foot patch in our backyard not growing any grass? And then you start digging in and you find this like 2.5 foot pipe of PVC
Mhm.
that's all broken up.
That's not that doesn't worry me as much as the big hunk of glass that we found.
Yeah,
That's terrifying.
that was nuts. That was like
So
thick glass too. I don't even know what that would be
it's a
coming
thick.
from.
What did it come from? I have no idea. I need to
Yeah.
know.
So
It's thick.
you know, you start looking at that stuff and you're like, wow, that is no wonder I can't grow grass here. I'm trying to grow it on literal
Makes
just
sense. On
housing debris.
pipes and glass. That's
Yep.
a good soil there.
Recipe for
So,
success. So, anyways, we
mhm.
transplanted some grass because we moved stones from the backyard to the front yard. Then you had to dig a trench to put the stones in. Then we moved that grass to the backyard to try and get it to grow. So you had to do like a whole transplant process. And then it's like, oh, I don't want the roots to just be sitting on top of clay because we have so much clay in the backyard. So I was like, you know what? I'll just like try and till the ground. Literally bent the rake. Used the metal rake. It bent
Yeah.
the rake.
I
We
tried going at it with a shovel, like a little handheld shovel. I was like, "Oh, I'll just man arm this in there." It bent the shovel too.
yeah.
So,
I tried using my dethatcher rake. That got bent in half. You know, that was
got
pretty
really
tough.
fertile land back here.
Pretty tough ground. Um,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even the like above ground planter project, which is what this all started with. That wasn't the
Yeah.
hard part. It was all of these other random steps along the way.
It starts with a, you keep calling it, first of all, you keep calling it an above ground planter. It's a raised garden bed.
Yeah,
I
no
need to just
thanks.
set the record straight here so people know what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah,
Um, you start with one project and it leads to 10 others. I think this is just marriage and home ownership. So
yeah. So
sorry about it. It starts here, but you know what? We don't even have that much land. Just wait till we get more land, okay? I have two words for you.
yeah.
Chickens and cows. I don't know what these balloons are for, but I'm here for
Wait,
it. Did you
what
see
was
that?
that? Happy
Chickens and
birthday.
cows.
You're getting chickens and cows.
Yeah, yeah. So just wait. babe. It's coming.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
One thing I want to talk about before we get into it. You said I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
One thing I want to talk about before we get into it. We were talking about the mascot fights last week. And somebody commented that Toledo's mascot, Rocky, would be a good one because he's trained in hand-to-hand combat. I looked this guy up. He looks pretty cool. Like he looks like a badass Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd let that guy fight for me.
That guy also made the point that like Rocky the Rocket has access to rockets, which
That's true. Is that do
very,
you get to
very.
use those
I mean, if
in
the
the fight?
volunteer gets to use his musket because it's
That's
Davy
fair. It's only
Crockett, you get to use
that's true.
rockets. So I don't know that anybody's gonna beat that because if Rocky the Rocket has access to like I don't know a missile,
A
I just
missile.
I just don't think that that's a
What
fair.
is in his arsenal?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I need to know.
We need details. Like
Yeah,
how advanced is this
yeah.
rocket that he's got? Is it like
How advanced is his defense
one of those
system?
you bought at like the hobby store growing up that like has the
Yeah.
tiny little booster engine in it and that it just goes up and then comes down with a parachute? Or are we talking like full blown ballistic missile?
Ballistic missile, I think. But then it got me thinking, like, should the humanoid mascots be in the same genre as like the animal mascots? Like, I feel like there needs to be different classes,
Yeah.
because I don't think it's fair to have like, listen, I love that he's trained in hand-to-hand combat, but I don't know if that's helping against like a tiger. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
if the Tiger, so, aside from LSU having a live tiger on their campus
Yeah.
named Mike, aside from that, tigers are either coming from like local zoos or from Africa. So
Okay.
if Rocky the Rocket knows that this tiger is going to be coming for him, he could probably hit him with the missile long
Take him
before the
out.
tiger ever gets
See,
close.
that's true. I had this thought before I realized that he has a whole like arsenal. But okay, so fine. Rocky the Rock is he's just like he's the winner. But like if we're talking UT against a tiger, I don't know what a musket like how effective is a musket against a tiger?
That's a good question. I mean, is the musket rifled on the bore, or are we just talking like straight barrel? Because that'd be,
I have no idea.
yeah, we need details
We
on
got to
like,
work out these details.
did they work in rifling yet on his rifle, or is it just like straight bore? Because rifling would make it way more accurate. Then he could hit Mike the Tiger from a range, you know.
Okay.
So
Yeah, like sniper.
yeah, yeah. Whereas
Okay.
like if it's not a rifled barrel, he's probably not going to be super accurate with that thing.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So
So then we kind of went down a rabbit hole, right? And we asked ChatGPT, what was the prompt you wrote into
when in
ChatGPT?
doubt, use AI.
When in doubt, use AI. What was the prompt you wrote in? Like, who's the most
Yeah, it said like
dangerous
give me a
mascot?
list of the most dangerous mascots. Take into account their access to weapons.
Take into account their access to weapons. And it
Yeah.
seems like ChatGPT doesn't, like, AI doesn't care that humans have weapons because they're number one, right, was the LSU Tiger and
Hmm.
most dangerous because they said the danger factor was that it's an apex predator. Enough said. And then second was Bevo, the Texas Longhorn. And the reason was massive longhorn steer, horn spanning 6 foot, known for charging at other mascots. So he's got a record. This
Yeah.
man's already got a record.
No, look up the clip of I want to say it was at the 2019 SEC Championship.
Yeah, I
Bevo
remember
actually
it.
tried to
Yeah.
go after Uga.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it just give you those two?
No, it gave me some more, but
Yeah.
number three was Colorado Buffaloes. He's like 1,700
Okay.
pounds, so
Big
they
guy.
really went all in on the animals. I told him to
I
take
don't
into
think it,
account like if it's
I
got
don't think
like
he listened.
I literally used Tennessee Volunteer has access to a musket as an example for it to use, and
Yeah.
so it gave me a very just textbook answer of like, well, danger can be interpreted in many different ways. So because of that, the tiger has, 500 pounds of mass and super quick with claws. I did ask both
Weird.
ChatGPT and X's Grok for lists, and the ChatGPT one gave me like out of 10 ratings, and it gave Notre
Okay.
Dame's a 7.5 out of 10 danger level. That
Wow.
one, I think that calls into question the legitimacy of how it's rating the dangers because Notre Dame is a leprechaun. So I don't
A
know how
leprechaun going like this.
it literally said they're scrappy was the definition of why they're
Honestly,
dangerous.
that's fair.
Yeah,
How tall is a leprechaun?
I don't think super tall.
That's, I think, an advantage.
What's
You
a
know what I mean?
what's a lore accurate size leprechaun?
I feel like this is a dangerous territory we're going down here, looking up the
Leprechaun height.
leprechaun.
3 to 4 feet tall.
Okay.
I
Is
don't
it
know.
just one or is it multiple?
No, it's
How
just one.
many? Are
It's
you
not
sure?
would that be a herd of leprechauns? I don't think it's a herd of
Okay.
leprechauns.
I
They
feel
just
like
got
we're being
one.
offensive. I feel like we need to stop. We're being offensive to the leprechauns. Anyway, I think there need to be two classes, right? Humanoid and then animal.
So then
So,
that calls into a bigger question. Are you restructuring all of college conferences so that you can do that?
yeah.
Because if that's the case, like Tennessee's no longer in the SEC, we'd be outnumbered because you got the
Yeah,
Georgia
we would.
Bulldogs, the Mississippi
We would.
State. Aren't they also like a bulldog? Mississippi State,
I think they're literally bulldogs.
Florida Gators, got Mike the Tiger at LSU, Bevo, the Longhorn, South Carolina Gamecocks,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
Missouri
animals
Tiger.
are the more popular option for
We would
a
be pretty sure
what's
we're the
what's
only
Vanderbilt?
humanoid.
Commodores. What's a Commodore? Like what's the
Like
actual
a Navy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
like a sailor
well
ship.
shoot, that's honestly pretty dangerous right there.
That's true. What age is the Navy in? Are we still in like wooden boats or do they get a battleship?
I feel like it would be modern day.
Yeah, battleship might be a hard sell.
Okay.
That might be a difficult. I don't know that the musket's taking out a battleship.
I don't think so. I don't think so. We've gone really far down this rabbit hole,
We
and I
have.
think we need to crawl our way back up now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it with I do think Rocky the Rocket would take the win here,
Yeah, I think yeah,
It
he
just
was right.
even I think it depends on what level rocket does he have. That's crucial information that
We
we need
need
to know.
details about the weaponry.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
So, without further ado, let's get into our midnight snacks. This is our men's sports segment. So, of course, right now, the biggest thing going on is still the tournament.
Yeah.
So, we just had the Final Four. We're recording this on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So, we had the Final Four yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, last night. Florida beat Auburn 79-73.
That was a
This
great
was a
game.
super fast. Like this game was what you expect from March Madness, I feel like.
Yeah.
It was super fast paced. There was a lot of like back and forth. Like there were quite a few lead changes. Like it was really close. It was really close the entire game.
Ton of lead changes, yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the like few times that March Madness had just truly felt like March Madness. There were two other notable things that I wanted to mention to shout out. The Alabama State, that one play at the end of that one game where they threw it all the way. That one I will still remember for a long time coming. And of course Arkansas upsetting the 2 seed of St. John.
Yeah.
But other than that, this game was like it was March Madness.
At that point in time, I would say it was the best March Madness game that we have seen so far.
Yeah.
It honestly, like, I don't like Auburn.
I don't like Florida either.
I don't like Florida either, but in my bracket, I had Florida and Tennessee having a rematch in the national championship. So for, just biased reasons, I wanted Florida to win this one so that I would be better off in my bracket.
Yeah.
But, like halfway through the game, I found myself being like, I wish neither team had to lose this game. Like, I wish this was the national championship game because both teams just put forth, like so much effort and so much fight. It was a good
They
game.
were truly battling the entire time.
Yeah. And
It
not to
was,
mention like Jahmai Broome for Auburn, he went out
yeah,
at the like back in the Elite Eight game because he had an
yeah,
injury. He injured like his arm, his elbow, his ankle, all in the same play. And so
putting his
when they went in for
body on the
halftime,
line.
you know, Bruce Pearl didn't know if he was going to come back out and be able to
Yeah,
play in the second half. And then came out and was like, "Nah, put me in, coach."
yeah,
So he played the whole game yesterday. So you kind of like, I mean, you hate it that he lost, even though he's a great
hmm
player, but also he's about to go to the NBA and make a ton of money.
that's true.
So, which
He
I
still
think,
made the Final Four,
yeah,
which is
segues
great.
us into the next game, right?
Yes. Houston beat Duke last night,
That was a
70 to 67.
crazy comeback.
Now you see, oh, it was a 3-point game. Like, oh, it must have also been just like the Auburn Florida game, very close the entire time. Not not really. It like wasn't necessarily a blowout, but it felt like throughout the entire game, at least like so I fell asleep probably 5 to 10 minutes into the second half because it was a late night game. And at that point I was like, it's probably Duke. And then I woke up and rolled over and you said Houston won last night and I said, "What?
Yeah.
Did how much of it did you watch?"
The majority of it. I ended up
Okay.
falling asleep there at the end, which, was
Yeah.
the most exciting part. So it was tough. It was
It
tough.
was a late game.
Yeah.
So they had a 14-point comeback.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the most they were down at one point was 14. They were down, it was like 33, 34 seconds left in the game. They were
Yeah.
down by 6 at that point. At
And they
that,
scored 9 points in that
yeah,
time because they won by 3.
at that point in time, they had a like 8% chance of actually winning the game. Houston did when they
Yeah.
were down by 6 with 30 seconds left. And then,
Who was it? Who was it that posted that? ESPN posted that with the breakdown of the percentage. I think it was ESPN. Y'all need to
yeah,
go look at that if you haven't seen it.
yeah,
It shows like the percentage chance of Duke winning versus Houston as the 30 seconds go on.
it was either ESPN or DraftKings on
Yeah, one of those.
X, formerly Twitter.
It's on Instagram too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that was insane. So I had Florida beating Auburn as the best game that we had seen so far, and then that happened, and it's like, okay, that is March Madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I did see in those 33 seconds there was one questionable call that people were kind of in a tizzy about.
oh yeah.
The Cooper flag going over the back
Hmm.
foul. It's really controversial. People are saying that it shouldn't have been a foul and blah blah blah. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on
No, you
that?
go first. What are your thoughts? Do you
I
think
mean,
it was
we're
foul?
not rules analysts. I'm saying I don't know because he did reach around to some extent, but it's like at what point is it a foul? I don't know the
I felt like
specifics. So I
because they called it over the back. So
yeah, he
the
went around
he
though,
went
not
around
over.
more so than over.
Yeah,
A questionable call. I mean, they had
yeah.
contact too, but it looked like equal amounts of contact on that.
I mean,
I think it's
it's
one
the
where you
cold
just
game.
you let it play.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
so
know.
I've seen where some people are blaming Cooper Flag for Duke's loss last night. They still, as a team, gave up 6 points, nine
Yeah, in
points in the
30
last 30
seconds.
seconds. Yeah,
Yeah,
to
that's
lose that.
wild.
So
Crazy. So there it is, Florida and Houston in the Natty
who you
champ.
got? Who you got winning?
Damn, I don't know. I don't know. I truly have no idea. Like, part of me is like Houston because, like, I feel like they're scrappy, like with how they came back like that. But
Yeah, but
Florida's so solid.
Florida's got Clayton and all the depth.
Yeah,
They're comparing Walter Clayton Jr. to Steph Curry right now.
really.
Yeah,
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
he hits all the big time buckets. He's clutch.
yeah. Huh. Well, we'll see. That's tomorrow. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hate
that's
that we
gonna be
have
it.
to wait to talk about that.
I think what's important to note about that matchup, um, technically Tennessee is like third best team in the country for college basketball.
Hmm.
And here's my reasoning: we've lost to two teams in the last month. Okay,
Yeah.
last 30, 45 days. Two teams. We lost to Florida in the SEC Championship, and we lost to Houston in the Elite Eight. Those two teams now playing for the national championship. So,
I mean, the math is mathing.
yeah. Last team
So,
we played before we played Florida in the SEC Championship, Auburn. Guess what? We beat them. So we were already better than them. So, I mean,
I don't know.
technically, we are the third best team in college basketball. No one can take that away from me.
No, because you made it up.
I will debate anybody on this. I feel confident.
Well, I mean, like,
Speaking
I see what you're saying. The math is mathing. So.
Speaking of Tennessee, Ziegler and Meshack got snubbed on Naismith Defensive Player of the Year. They did not win, even though they were 2 of the 5 finalists. But with that being said, the overall Naismith Player of the Year did go to Cooper Flagg of Duke. So, some people are blaming him for the loss, but also he got voted the best college basketball player for this past year. So, and he'll be the
interesting
number 1 overall draft pick this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Crazy. Well, that's about all we got in basketball right now until tomorrow. So next up, we got some hockey stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. You want to take this one?
Yeah, Alex Ovechkin today set the record for the most goals scored. He took that record from Wayne Gretzky, who I would equate to be the best. This can be like a controversial topic, right? Of like who's the best athlete ever across all sports?
Oh, I didn't know we were going there.
Yeah.
You're saying Gretzky?
I'm thinking it might be Gretzky.
Okay, who are the other contenders?
I mean, you got like every GOAT of each sport, right? So you've got like, let's say Tiger Woods or
Simone Biles, Michael Phelps,
Jack Nicholson. I'd named 2 golf guys. Yeah, Michael Phelps, Simone Biles, Serena Williams. Count her as the GOAT of tennis. Djokovic for tennis. Go soccer. Here's a debate. Who's better, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi?
I know nothing about soccer, so I cannot contribute to that conversation at all.
I like Messi more than Ronaldo, but...
Oh, because you're such a soccer fan?
Yeah, huge soccer fan.
Okay.
I like America and FIFA. I watch it about once every 4 years when that comes on. So
I don't know.
But yeah, I think it's Gretzky.
You think it's Gretzky?
Anyways,
okay.
Ovechkin, he took the lead of most goals from Gretzky. But the thing is that Gretzky wasn't even like a goal scorer. It's not his game. He huge on assists. If you took away all of it, so like you get points for both goals and assists in hockey. If you took away all of his goals, all 894 that Gretzky scored, he would still have the most points of any hockey player.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But his personal goal record was broken. So Ovechkin, he had a chance. One thing that's interesting is that so he beat the record today, but he had a chance to beat it in his last game, but he didn't take it because it was an empty net. And so he was like he didn't want that to be like the record-setting goal, which I think is
that's pretty
admirable.
Sweet.
Yeah. So you'll have to see stuff like that. What are you tippy typing?
I'm getting some crazy stats about Gretzky, right? So yeah. If you took away every single one of Gretzky's 894 scores, he would still be the NHL's all-time leading scorer with just 1,963 assists.
So he had 1,963 assists.
Yes.
And 864 personal goals.
894 personal.
Oh, 894 personal. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
in the 1981 to 82 season, he scored 50 goals in just 39 games.
That's crazy.
In a single season, 1985 to 86, he racked up 215 points off of 52 goals and 163 assists.
Wow.
No one else
Listen.
has ever cracked 200 points in a single season. He did it 4 times.
My God.
Yeah,
That's wild.
absolutely nuts. So,
Yeah.
um, give it to Ovechkin. He took the all-time goal record from Gretzky, but Gretzky still does have most assists, most points,
Hmm.
10 Art Ross trophies, which is most points in a season scored by a certain person, 9 Hart trophies, which is the league MVP, and 4
Hmm.
Stanley Cups. So I think he's doing pretty
Wow.
good.
He's
Think,
still up there.
yeah, think
Not quite fully dethroned yet.
he's vibing. They did have a cool
So,
moment at the end of the game where Gretzky came on the ice and shook his hand because he said, "Hey, I always said that you like once you passed me, I'd be the first person to shake your hand." So stood by
yeah.
that. It was cool to
Aw.
see Gretzky like it wasn't like a oh, I wish you hadn't broken my record type reaction. It
Yeah.
was a full on just proud like, hey, proud of you for doing this.
Wholesome.
So
That's
that was
wholesome.
yeah, it was nice.
He loves to see sportsmanship. Um, well, good for him. Good for them, really.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing a great job.
Go team.
Go team. We also wanted to talk a little about let me start that over. You wanted to talk a little bit about F1, which
Hmm.
I also know nothing about, but they had a race
Yes, they raced in Japan
and they went fast.
this morning. Here's a hot take. I understand that America isn't the only country that cares about F1. I understand that every country cares about F1, and
Mhm.
America might be the like least prominent in the fandom
Yeah,
for
I
F1.
would say definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you got NASCAR, you know.
Yes.
But these races being on the other side of the world and happening, you know, in the middle of the night for us,
It's tough.
it's
It's
tough
tough.
because you want to watch them live, but then you basically
Yeah.
just have to wake up the next day and watch the races or catch the race highlights.
Yeah.
Um, so the notable things: one, Verstappen won this race. It is his first win this season.
Who with
Um,
Verstappen?
yeah, McLaren has basically owned it with Norris and Piastri so far this year for wins. They
Okay.
definitely have the fastest car. So over the weekend or this morning, Verstappen, he took pole position. So he led off the race in first place, and then he basically never let it go. Stayed in
Yeah.
first for the whole race. There was
Oh,
one
is
like,
that normal?
it depends. It depends on
Okay.
the race. You know, there's like so many different factors that come in. Like, what time did they pit? Is it raining? Is it not? Did they decide to come
Yeah.
in if it is raining and get like swap their tires? So for certain tracks, basically, like if you start in first, like Monaco, which is historically like one of the biggest races of the year, it's
Mhm.
gotten tough because the cars have gotten so much bigger over the years and it's a street course and it's very narrow
Oh,
streets. So if you start in first at that race, you basically
it's
win the
harder to
race.
pass people. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Huh.
So, but no, it's not uncommon for the person that starts in first to win, but there has been a
Okay.
whole lot more parity with that in the last year and a half versus
Hmm.
prior. Like 2 seasons ago, Verstappen just took pole every single race and won every single race. But now it's like, you know, McLaren looks really good.
Yeah.
Um, Mercedes looks pretty solid this year, even though they have a rookie driver in Kimi Antonelli. And then Ferrari did better, but still did not podium because it was a Verstappen and then McLaren 2, 3, and then Leclerc for Ferrari got fourth. So
Okay. Well, yay.
yeah,
Go team. Again, I don't know anything about F1.
yeah.
You tried showing me the race and I watched, but I didn't. Like I don't know.
Let let me ask you a question. Um,
Okay.
I think this is a fair comparison of how to put it. What would you think if the NFL had a quarterback that started 2 games out of the season? In this scenario, the season's like 28 games long. Okay.
Okay.
2 starts, losses in both by decent margins. Do
Yeah,
you
it's not looking good.
are you gonna bench that quarterback after 2 games? Or are you
Probably.
gonna
Well,
are you going to stick with them for a little bit and see if they figure it out?
I think it depends on a lot of factors, right? Like, do you have another option? Like, what are
Yes.
your other options?
Yeah, so it's like imagine it like a regular football team. You've got bench players. There's like let's say there's two other people that could start over your quarterback that is having a slow
Oh,
start.
yeah, I'd probably try another one out.
Yeah.
I'm not a coach, though.
Okay. This was
I'd be interested to see what the other guys could do.
this is a comparison to Red Bull. Liam Lawson got the second seat for Red Bull this year over Checo Perez, who was the starter last
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So he's the seat behind Max Verstappen, who won the race, right? So Liam Lawson started the first two races for the Red Bull team, and then he did not do well in qualifying for either of those races. Started at the back of the pack, finished at the back of the pack for both of those races. Hasn't scored any points yet. So going into the third race, they sent Liam Lawson back to the junior team and promoted Yuki Tsunoda. Now, it might have been because it's Yuki's home race, and that's why they were doing it. As of right now, Yuki still has that seat for Red Bull. But yes, Liam Lawson, who was signed to a contract with their actual Red Bull team, got demoted to the junior Red Bull team instead. So it's basically like he's on the bench now. He still gets to
Okay.
race, just not in the faster car for the more
I mean,
prominent team.
I feel like that was probably the right move. He's
Yeah.
still racing, so he can still like work on his
I think what it
skill.
is that um, Red Bull's team principal, I think he's got a sour taste in his mouth because last year he stuck with Checo and
Uh-huh.
ultimately it lost them the Constructors' Championship to McLaren. So they stuck with a guy who was having struggle in the back half of the season, didn't promote anybody to that seat, didn't, demote him, stuck with him, and it cost him.
I see.
So
Well, okay.
more to come on that one. We got another race this weekend, so we'll see
Okay.
see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See if Verstappen wins again.
yeah.
Yeah. We got one more snack to talk about. It's just a little bit, a sprinkle, if you will, of
Yeah.
NFL news. So it looks like the Titans have canceled their private session. Is that what it's called? With
Hmm.
Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter? Question mark? Or just
Yeah.
Shedeur?
From what I saw, it was just Shadur.
Okay.
They may have canceled it with Travis Hunter as well. I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but yeah, basically that came out a couple days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. That news came out. Um, Shadur had his pro day this past week for Colorado, and at that he Travis Hunter ran routes. He threw to Travis Hunter, so it was nice to see Travis running routes because originally he wasn't planning on running any routes or doing anything. Um, but there wasn't a lot of Titans people there. And so a lot of insiders are basically saying, oh, it's because he's going to have a private workout with the Titans this coming week. Same with Travis Hunter. So they didn't feel the need they needed to come out here. Well, fast forward, they ended up canceling that private workout that they were going to have with Shadur. So what that tells me is that number one overall draft pick for the Titans this year, for sure going to be Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Because I think if they were going to trade that pick and move back in the draft and like try and pick up more draft picks off the first round draft pick, like first overall draft pick, I think they'd be looking at both Travis Hunter and
They
Shadur to
would at
see,
least want to see,
yeah,
right?
like if
Yeah.
there's a chance that either of them slides, because there is a chance that Shadur slides a little bit and isn't taken
Yeah.
super early,
Huh.
then they could pick him up later on. But you play that risk. So
Yeah.
I think
But
them canceling this, clear indication, hey, we're going Cam
they're
Ward,
taking
number
the
one
first pick
overall.
and they're
Yeah,
taking Cam Ward. Yeah.
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 Which
All
makes
right. Well,
sense,
what do you think? Do you like it? You like it for Tennessee?
I don't know. I mean, like Miami wasn't in our. They didn't pop up on our radar a lot this past year. You watch the highlights basically on SportsCenter, but that was most I saw of Cam Ward in Miami.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah, I
do know
guess
that
they're kind of out of our.
at the combine, Miami's wide receiver ran like a 4.7 or a 4.8, which is super slow for a wide receiver. So maybe having like Calvin Ridley and the rest of the receiving core, hopefully Traylon Burks can do something this next year. We do have Westbrook-Ikine, who's pretty solid. Honestly underrated. He won like 6 straight games this past season with a touchdown in it. So hopefully, all that to say, hopefully with those options, Cam Ward can figure it out and be
Some stuff
better.
to work with.
Yeah, better because he's got faster wide receivers.
Yeah.
So
I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm excited to see what happens for Tennessee.
yeah,
Okay.
you hope it's C.J. Stroud or Jaden Daniels moment where team is supposed to be really bad for future seasons, and then they get a really good rookie quarterback in and immediately turns the whole program around. Houston was supposed to be so bad because they were a dumpster fire like 3 years ago, and then they got C.J. Stroud, not even number 1 overall pick. Bryce Young was number 1 overall pick that year to the Panthers, and yeah, so that's what you're hoping for.
Cross your fingers and toes, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Any other men's sports things you wanted to mention?
No, I think that's everything.
Well, moving right along. Next up, we've got girl dinner, right? So this is where we talk about women's sports and all things girly pops. Of course, the NCAA tournament is going on for them. Well, actually, scratch that. It is finished for them now.
Yep.
We'll get to it in a second. Let's talk about the Final Four first, because we didn't get to talk about that last week because it happened on Friday. Yeah, Friday. UConn beat UCLA in the Final Four, 85-51.
Not even close. That was
pretty
domination.
Big point gap there. Yeah. And then this one kind of surprised me a little bit. South Carolina beat Texas 74-57. I'm not surprised necessarily. I'm not surprised that South Carolina won that game. I'm surprised at the point gap there.
Yeah. That
wasn't expecting that.
It was close, and then it just slowly South Carolina pulled away.
They kept pulling away, and Texas could not keep up.
Could not answer a single point that was being scored. So,
I mean, they looked really strong. Texas looked really strong against TCU, so they beat TCU in the Elite Eight. They looked really strong in that game. That's why I thought this was going to be a closer game, but they just couldn't answer all the points that South Carolina kept making.
No.
So those were, I mean, we were just talking about the Final Four for the men's being like close games, like that's what you expect from March Madness, and this is like the exact opposite of that. And then you get to the championship, and I'm thinking UConn versus South Carolina, this is going to be a battle. Like, this is going to be a good, close game. And then UConn beat South Carolina 82-59.
Yeah.
It wasn't a blowout the entire time. It wasn't.
No, the first quarter was a genuine battle. And then second quarter, UConn started to stack some points. South Carolina could not get the ball to the rim.
South Carolina is in Texas' shoes from the last game. Like, they just can't answer all the points that UConn keeps putting up.
And then they came out in the second half, and UConn just went crazy. You know, they just so many points. So
UConn be doing what UConn be doing.
Paige Beckers.
So
nutty.
Nutty. Absolutely nutty. I'm excited to watch her in the WNBA. I think she's gonna I think that's going to be exciting. So yeah, I guess there's not really much else to say other than, wow, look at those point gaps.
Yeah. No, it was, it kind of felt like, I don't remember there really being a ton of close games on the women's side of the bracket. It felt like, honestly, across the board, even on men's side, there's been a lot of blowouts this year in March Madness.
Yeah. I mean, they were talking, UConn is the only team that was a 2 seed that made it to the Final Four, right? That they were the lowest seed. Everyone else it was all the 1 seeds, right?
Yeah.
And that's just, we've talked about this kind of before, but do you think that's just the effect that NIL is having on all this? Like,
potentially,
the good teams are truly just absolutely dominant. Like,
I don't know. There's supposed to be a ruling coming out this next year about like how much each school can spend on NIL, but
I think there
supposedly
needs to be. Yeah.
supposedly Tennessee just spent $3 million on the Jacoby guy from Maryland that we got for the basketball team out of the
Oh,
transfer portal. So
yeah.
we also
Okay.
spent the most on a quarterback with Nico at 8 million. So listen, you know,
Talk about nutty. That is nutty. Like,
yeah. Here's what's crazy. Jacoby's older brother is already in the NBA and is only making like o- only only making
only.
only making like 560,000 a year, and he
I'd like that.
supposedly because how can you confirm what a college kid's
Right.
getting paid? But yeah, his brother who's still in college supposedly getting $3 million this next year.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
I just hope they're being smart with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
hope like I mean they got to have those types of resources like financial
I mean,
advisors
they do
and
it
then
at the pro level too, though, but I don't know if that
yeah.
always helps. But anyway,
I
that's
think that's
none
getting
of our
better.
business.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, like pro players that end up bankrupt and stuff.
Hmm.
I think that number is getting better than it used to be because I think there is
Yeah.
more prominent education in place for them.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
good.
and like just resources in general for that. They're also getting paid more now as a comparison, so
Yeah.
maybe it's just like you get so many millions, you're good now, like
You're fine. You're fine no matter what
yeah.
happens. I don't know. We're off track. What were we talking about? The game. Yeah,
Uh
I don't know if there's much else to say about the women's tournament, really. Other than
no.
good job, UConn. Cool. Well, I had one other like random story to talk about that really isn't sports, but and I'm very late to the chat here. I'll just admit that right now. I think it's because we're both like I don't know if I like admitting this. I think I'm technically a millennial. I'm like right on
Yeah.
the border. And so I feel like that's why I'm kind of late to the chat here. Olivia Dunn and Paul Skeen's GQ photo shoot. You saw it,
Uh-huh.
the pictures.
I
I
did.
mean, they look great. Like she's gorgeous. He looks good. They look great. I'm a little confused
It's weird.
about
I think
some
they're
of the
weird.
styling.
Yeah.
Like not the pictures start over. Not the pictures individually. They're all gorgeous pictures. How do they go together? Like
That's
there is a couple where it's like, oh, he's wearing his uniform and she's like dressed in normal clothes, adorable. And then they do the Converse where she's dressed up in her gymnastics leotard, is that what they're called? Yeah,
yeah.
leotard.
Yeah.
And then he's in normal clothes. So I love that they're like giving each other, I love that about it. I'm just a little it's really the one picture where she's standing on the kitchen counter
Yeah, that
and
one
she's like and it's not even any of that. I'm confused about the shoes. Did you see the shoes?
yeah, it looks like she's got like a macaroni noodle on the heel.
They're I see where they're going. I'm just concerned about the stability of those heels
Yeah.
because it just looks like if she doesn't step on it just right, she could twist her ankle.
Here's my concern. How bad do you think Paul Skeens got roasted in the locker room after this?
Oh, I saw
He
articles saying, yeah, I got roasted.
he got
Like
flamed.
he's fully admitting that he's
Hundred
getting
hundred percent.
destroyed by his
Yeah.
teammates. Yeah.
Because he's such like
Listen.
a people call him boring all the time because he's pretty monotone. He's got a very dry sense of humor. He doesn't get
I think he's
super
just
excited about much of anything. He's just a beast
I think
out
he
there on
just
the
has
mound.
dry humor and like that's
Yeah.
his
And
shtick.
so it's like you take that guy and you've got him in, this GQ photo shoot, just doing random things throughout the house. It's just so uncharacteristic that like there's
Yeah.
no way the guys let that slide.
No, I saw something where he said he didn't know what GQ was until they came with the offer. I was like, yeah, that tracks for a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That tracks.
He
But
doesn't
I mean, they look great. They're a beautiful couple. She's gorgeous, you know.
they did like a questionnaire thing where they had like, key cards and they were asking each other questions off the key cards.
Yeah.
And there was one question that she asked him, like, what's my most viewed or most liked Instagram video? And he was like, I don't even know. Like that's what she's famous off of is TikTok and social media and everything.
Oh my God.
He doesn't even have Instagram. And I thought this was kind of funny. They like I think she told the story about like they almost didn't start dating because he
Because
wouldn't.
he didn't follow her back. I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's probably because he
That's
just
funny.
didn't even have it on his phone, you know? Like,
Probably. He probably had to download it just to
yeah,
um what's your favorite picture from here? My favorite is the one where they're on the stairs and the dog is looking up at them like
that's on.
he's like looking at the loves of his life. Like
Yeah.
he's so happy.
I don't know that I have
Or
a
she, I'm
favorite.
sorry if I misgendered the dog. I'm sorry.
OMG.
This
Unbelievable.
dog looks very happy is all that I'm trying to say, and I want to pet them.
They have two dogs though, I guess,
They
because
have two?
there's yeah, go to the very like I think it's the last picture when they're in the snow outside.
Oh yeah, and it's a black dog. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're right. I would love to pet those dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it on that. I don't think we have any spicy snacks this week. Do you have any spicy snacks?
No, not that I could think of. This is honestly, I mean, you got March Madness happening, but pretty quiet week.
Yeah. Well, because it's
Tennis,
the Final Four, it's there's not as many games to talk about.
not as many games. Like NBA playoffs haven't started yet.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey playoffs haven't started yet. So you're just kind of like in this waiting period, basically.
Oh, I had one
There's
thing I wanted to talk about. Oh,
yeah.
did you have something? Go.
I was gonna say there's like MLB, but I
Yeah.
just
I don't know much about baseball yet. We need to
they're
get.
like 10 games in and they still have another
Okay.
158
Oh,
to
the
go.
bats. Have we talked about the bats?
I think we briefly brought them up a couple weeks ago, the torpedo bats.
Okay. How they look like. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thought that was interesting. Um, yeah, so I had one thing. I just have a question. Um, what kind of makeup are these ladies wearing in the tournament? I saw some of them are just wearing lashes. They get the lash extensions. I get that. They look hot fire flames, right? It looks like some of them were wearing actual makeup, and I need y'all to drop the makeup routine because how is it lasting the whole game? Or is your skin just that flawless that you have that youthful glow about you with the rosy cheeks? Maybe
Yeah.
they're just that, their skin is that fantastic. But to me, as a viewer, some of y'all, it looked like y'all were wearing makeup, and I need to know what's the skin routine and or what's the makeup routine because how do I get on your level?
Yeah. I
You
think
know?
what's crazy too is that they're like chewing gum out there on the court, and it's like
The
how
chewing gum on the court
how
stresses me out.
how are you not choking on that? You know, like
You're gonna get body checked and swallow it. Yeah? No?
I say
I don't
that.
know.
Were there any Duke players chewing gum last night with how they choked? Oh, felt pretty good about that.
That was mean, Joshua. That was mean.
Here's my hot take, I guess, if I had to give one.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag he's done nothing to make me not like him.
Mhm.
I'm so annoyed with just hearing the commentators glaze Cooper Flag.
It's like Cooper Flag is the only person the commentators are allowed to talk about.
Like last night, I think he started 1 for 6 or something like that, and they were still just
Mhm.
like, look at how good he's passing the ball. Oh, so like considerate of him and
Yeah.
generous to share it around the court and everything. Like it's like
So
okay, yeah,
generous.
a good pass there, but like I mean,
He's
it
a
was
great player. I would like to hear you
but
talk about the other
phenomenal
guys.
player. He's a phenomenal player. It's
Yeah.
just that every halftime show, every time any play happens, it's ridiculous. It's kind of like Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo with Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
where anything that happens in any other game, they're and that's what we gotta see from Patrick Mahomes.
Everything relates back to Patrick Mahomes, Josh.
Everything,
Don't you know this?
yeah.
Everything.
So like two completely unrelated teams, they could be in the NFC instead of the AFC, and they're still just gonna be like, and that was a great play from Patrick Mahomes there. That was my Tony
That
Romo impression. I think I nailed that.
yeah, that
Yeah.
little grit in your throat was really perfect.
Yeah.
So,
Well, on that
but
note,
I feel like I had one more thing I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was. Well, I guess it wasn't that important. That's why it looks like. All right, well, that's our show, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Tune in
All
next week
2 of you.
where we talk about
See you next week.
yeah.